Okay, in exercise 6I, we're looking at volume of pyramids and cones. So when naming a pyramid, we look at the base. So the base is the shaded bit here. So if it's a square, then we call that a square pyramid. This has a rectangular base, a triangular base, and we don't call it a circular pyramid, we actually call it a cone. So what we know about pyramids is that they fit in exactly inside of a prism, and what we mean by that. So if I was to bring these up, okay, then that pyramid is exactly inside of that prism. So what we do know is that it's 1/3 of the volume of a prism, so not pyramid. So what we normally would do when finding the volume of a pyramid, we would go the area of the base times the height. However, the difference with a pyramid is it's 1/3. It's because there's 3 of those that fit into that. Alrighty, so I'm just going to rub this out. Okay, so now we're going to look at each of the formulas. So we've got V equals 1/3 AH. Now because this is a square on the bottom, so it's S times S, so that area of the base is 1/3 times S, which is S squared, and we need to know the perpendicular height. So what that means is that it's how high up from the base to the very apex or the top of the pyramid. So on the bottom, okay, with all pyramids, it is 1/3 AH. Now the area of that base is length times breadth, so that's 1/3 times length times breadth, and we need to know how high it is, which is height. So really it's just 1/3 LBH. Okay, now this triangle here, you need to look for how you're going to find, okay, the area of the base. And the area of a triangle is a half base times height. So we've got 2 heights here, so we need to be a little bit careful. So they've actually said that the perpendicular height here is a capital H. So we'll use, so if you know if that was your base, then this would be your perpendicular height. So it really depends on how, what information the picture gives you. So if I give you this one, just say you knew, if you knew what the base was here, you would need to know how high it is. So it's got to be 90 degrees to the base. So what we know that the area of the formula of a triangle is, okay, let me just rub that out because it's actually 1/3. Okay, 1/3 times, now the area of the triangle is a half base times height, and then you've got to times it by the perpendicular height of the pyramid. Okay, and the cone, so that's a circle, okay? So when we find the area of a circle, you need to be able to be familiar with it's going to be, okay, 1/3, and we need to know that the radius, what the radius is, and that's the distance in the radius from the centre, and you times it by the perpendicular height here. All right, let's put all that knowledge into the question. So if we look here, it says find the volume of a square pyramid. Yes, it's a square because both sides are the same. It has a height of 5 metres and a height of 6 metres here. So do your formula, 1/3 AH, and then the area of that square is 5 by 5. And then we need to times it by the perpendicular height, and they're all in metres. So you go and multiply all of that and you end up with 50. Now, because we're talking volume, okay, it's going to be metres cubed. All right, so let's have a look now at example number 22. We've got the volume of a cone. So the first formula you've got to use is 1/3 area of the base, which is a circle, and then you need to know that's your perpendicular height here. So they've told me that there's my radius, the arrow is pointing to that line. So remember that a circle is pi r squared, and we times that by the height, so let's put all of that in. So the radius here of the circle is 5, so it's pi times 5 squared. Okay, then we need to times that by 12. So we enter all that into the calculator. You should be able to put in a fraction by now. If you're not, make sure you ask me how to do that. pi times 5 squared times 12, and the calculator puts out a number that looks like this, 159, blah, 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 blah. So then you look to see how to answer. It says to 3 significant figures. So that means the first 3 numbers are significant. So we've got to make a call. Is it 314 or is it 315? So we look at this number. Because that number's under 5, we're going to write that as 315. Okay, it's in metres, so it's metres cubed. Okay, now because you've rounded it off, make sure you turn your equal sign into approximate sign, which is 2 squiggly lines. Okay, so that should be enough now to get you on to 6i.